Congratulations on being selected as a speaker for the upcoming SSP Annual Meeting. We are looking forward to your presentation. The goal of this video is to help you prepare for your upcoming speaking engagement. It is divided into two parts. In Part 1, I will review general information about the SSP Annual Meeting that is important for all speakers, such as on-site logistics and room layout, AV requirements, broadcast basics, and a few practical words on how to avoid some very common technical problems, particularly involving PowerPoint slides. In Part 2, I will share some tips and best practices for preparing and delivering your presentation. While this will be especially helpful for those of you who are new to speaking, I highly encourage even seasoned presenters to watch. I guarantee there will be at least one tip to enhance your delivery that you may not have known. Every speaker has room to improve, and we want you to shine at the SSP Annual Meeting. Quality speakers and presentations are critical to creating a successful meeting experience for attendees. Let's start with some basic information about the room setup and what technology will be available. Generally, the rooms are set up theater style, meaning long rows of chairs and no tables. Each room holds 80 to 120 attendees. There will be a table in the front for the speakers, a podium with a laptop, a projector, and a screen. There will be a microphone at the podium, as well as microphones at the table for the Q&A. There may also be a microphone in the aisle for attendees to ask questions. Wi-Fi will be available in the room, but please let us know if access to the internet is critical to your presentation, so that we can make necessary arrangements to have a hardwire connection as an extra precaution. If you are streaming a video, we recommend that you download the file and include it on a USB drive along with your presentation. If you have any other special AV requests, please let us know. Your session organizer and their liaison to the Annual Meeting Program Committee are always good resources if you have questions or specific needs for your presentation. You will want to locate your session room and plan to arrive 20 minutes early so that you have time to get your presentation loaded on the presentation laptop and familiarize yourself with the AV. Advise your liaison to the program committee if you need accessible accommodations in order to set. Better yet, visit the speaker ready room several hours or the day before your presentation and provide a copy to the on-site AV team. The laptop will be a PC provided by the AV company. That said, if there is no other way for you to present your slides without using your own personal device, please be sure to do two things. First, make sure you bring any special connectors or dongles that you will need. Second, please visit the speaker ready room well prior to your session to ensure your device will indeed work with the AV company's equipment. And make sure to leave yourself enough time to come up with a plan B if it doesn't. In addition, SSP will be live streaming select sessions in real time at the annual meeting for attendees who have registered for virtual attendance. If your session is one of those selected, you will want to talk to your session moderator about how aspects of the live streaming technical system may affect your session. This includes additional interactivity tools that are meant to engage in virtual attendees. Advise your liaison to the program committee if you need any specific accessibility accommodations. And that reminds me, because we record the annual meeting sessions, we require all speakers to sign a release form. In most cases, the recording is audio only and will be synced with any slides that you have to accompany your presentation. But some sessions will be full audio-video recordings. If you have not already done this, please visit the SSP website to digitally sign the release form. Be sure that your presentation and accompanying materials are your own original work, that you have obtained any necessary copyright permissions, that the work does not infringe on anyone else's copyrights, and it's not defamatory. Let me say up front that PowerPoint slides or audiovisual presentation using other tools are not required. That said, the majority of SSP speakers have historically had some visual material, so here are some practical tips for those of you that do. First, please match the aspect ratio of your slides to that of our AV company's equipment, which will be 16:9. This will avoid the stretching or smooshing of your visual aids. For text, less is more, for both technical and audience engagement reasons, which we will talk about in part 2 of this video. What I would like to highlight here in particular is font choice in PowerPoint, which probably causes the most technical frustration I've witnessed among speakers. For your SSP annual meeting presentation, we suggest that you use whichever of the following strategies works best for you. Option 1. Select common fonts, such as the ones designated as PowerPoint safe fonts. Google this phrase and you'll find various lists. This is not a foolproof method, but avoiding unique fonts that may be installed in some libraries but not others is a good first step. Option 2. Embed your fonts into your PowerPoint presentation. This is not difficult to do, and you can find a quick tutorial at the URL on your screen. However, the downside is that not all fonts are available for embedding due to licensing restrictions or DRM, and Mac versions of PowerPoint cannot be used to embed fonts at all. Option 3. Save your PowerPoint as a PDF. This embeds the fonts automatically and is the only surefire way to ensure the slide will display exactly as you created it when displayed on another device. Links will be maintained in the PDF, but the limitation is that you'll lose any transitions, slide timings, or animations and will not be able to use the notes feature. Actually, saving your PowerPoint presentation as a PDF is always a good backup plan, just in case. If you're using a cloud-based software for your slides, be sure to download a copy for offline use. For those of you who have an audio or video component to your presentation, such as a video with sound, you will want to arrive early to your session room to test your presentation with the AV technical system in the room, to ensure audio is flowing through the in-room sound system appropriately. Also, we encourage you to ensure any audio is captioned. You can also use this time to double check your colors. In terms of colors, please keep in mind that what you see on your monitor at home may end up looking very different when projected on a screen in a moderately lit room. The session rooms are not dark and they're not exactly bright either. Because we have most of the lights on in the rooms, a white background with a black or dark text works best. In rooms with a good deal of ambient light, a screen image with a dark background and light text tends to wash out, but dark text on a light background will maintain its visual intensity a bit better. We also recommend that you run your presentation through a digital color contrast checker such as accessibleweb.com. To end part 1 of this video, I want to highlight that SSP has a code of conduct for its meeting and events. Please review it thoroughly before attending the annual meeting and familiarize yourself with the policy to ensure your presentation is free from inadvertent violations. And now on to part 2, prepping and delivering your presentation. Now, don't turn this off because you're a veteran speaker with many years of presentations under your belt, because as I said earlier, I'm sure there is at least one hint, tip, or best practice that I will review that you may not be incorporating now. A successful presentation begins long before you step up to the podium. There are a number of strategies you can employ to ensure a smooth delivery and content that hits the mark. Most sessions at SSP are a team effort, but there's nothing worse than waiting your turn to speak and realizing one of your fellow panelists has just covered 80% of your material. This is easily avoided. If your session organizer has not already arranged it, suggest that they host a video conference with all of the speakers at least 4 weeks prior to the session so that you can discuss who is going to cover what, how much time each speaker has, how questions will be handled, and how you will collectively engage the audience, including possible virtual attendees. It's also helpful to establish the order of speakers. Sharing an accessible draft version of your slides with the group is a great way to check for overlap. To make the most of your time, it's best not to retrace ground that's already been covered. It's a good idea to take a look at the session description as a group as well. Session descriptions are how attendees pick which sessions they want to attend. Make sure the description reflects what you and your fellow speakers intend to talk about. Sometimes sessions drift a bit after the speakers map out their presentations. That's perfectly fine. Take this opportunity to work with your session organizer to ensure the content and the description match. Let's talk about slides. As I noted earlier, they are 100% optional. If you choose to use them, you should use them to visually enhance your presentation and not as a cue card or a visual crutch. If you've never heard of the Guy Kawasaki 10-20-30 rule of PowerPoint, let me introduce you. According to Guy, a PowerPoint presentation should have 10 slides, last no more than 20 minutes, and contain no font smaller than 30 points. You may be tempted to transcribe your presentation onto your slides, but please don't. Experts suggest placing no more than 6 words on a slide, ever. Text-heavy slides will only distract the listener. They will be reading your slides instead of listening to you. It also makes it difficult for them to tweet your ideas quickly and succinctly. Make slides that reinforce your words, not repeat them. Remember, we are recording your presentation and syncing your voice to your slides, so the slides do not need to stand on their own. If you want to provide a transcript or outline of your presentation, create a handout and display the link at the end of your presentation where attendees can download the information. It's much easier these days to create professional-looking slides, so skip the cheesy clip art. Use professional stock photo or original images. There are a number of sites where you can download royalty-free images for free, and others where you can get them for a few bucks each. You don't have to be a graphic designer to create great slides. In fact, the less text you have, the easier it is to create something visually pleasing. And while presentation software has lots of cool animation features, we recommend that you avoid them. They are distracting and can be perceived as amateurish. Let's talk about audio now. If you have an audio component to your presentation, such as a video, first, make sure you have permission to use it. Second, use audio sparingly. People came to listen to you, not a video. Third, as I mentioned earlier, arrive early to the session room and test the audio with the AV in the room. And fourth, use captioned materials. I also mentioned earlier that the font choice in PowerPoint probably causes the greatest frustration among speakers. They spend hours carefully crafting their slides, picking the perfect font, making sure all of the text flows nicely on the slide, only to plug in their USB drive into the presentation laptop and see a complete mess. Headlines are wrapping, bullet points are falling off the page. There is nothing like facing an audience when you are already completely stressed out and discovering that your beautiful slides look like a word scramble. It turns out that not every device has the same fonts installed, and if the font you use is not available on the presentation laptop, it will simply replace it with the font from its library. Using a unique font can be risky. Some Mac and PC fonts aren't compatible either. In part 1, we reviewed some of the things that you can do to ensure your slides appear as you intended, but that nothing is completely foolproof and that we recommend having a PDF version of your PowerPoint slides as a backup. For a professional look, use the same font set throughout your entire slide presentation and use no more than 2 complementary fonts. Select a font that is easily readable from a distance. Sans serif fonts tend to be more readable. Now, while some of these tips have reference using PowerPoint, there are, of course, alternatives for creating your visual aids such as Keynote and Google Slides. Prezi, sometimes known as the zooming presentation tool, is gaining more popularity, but some people have actually complained that Prezi gave them motion sickness. So use transitions with caution. Whatever program you decide to use, make sure it has built-in accessibility features that help you create an accessible presentation. Check if the program has an accessibility checker to tackle accessibility issues while you're creating your presentation. All of these tips apply to these tools as well. And of course, visual aids are completely optional. If slides won't enhance your presentation, skip them. The goal here is really to provide the best technical environment for listeners so that they are not in any way distracted and can focus solely on you and your ideas. So let's talk next about preparing the content of your presentation. confidence comes from knowing your material. Even if you are not a seasoned public speaker, knowing your material gives you instant credibility with the audience. I'm not referring to the words you plan to say, but the knowledge behind the words. It doesn't matter if you deliver your presentation word for word, as you envisioned it in your head or on paper. It only matters that what you say is authentic and demonstrates your familiarity with the topic. Acknowledge that you are going to make mistakes and that you will forget to say something you felt was important. The reality is, only you will know. If you have PowerPoint slides, proofread, proofread, proofread. Review your own slides, of course, but we recommend having at least 2 other people check them as well. Nothing is more embarrassing than a misspelled word at a publishing conference. There will be editors in the audience. I guarantee it. Then move on to practicing. Making cue cards or notes can help keep you on track. If you have slides, I recommend not relying on the on-screen notes feature in PowerPoint, as, while handy, that feature may not be available with every AV setup. Practicing your presentation will improve your delivery. Whether you persuade or bribe your significant other, coworkers, or children to listen, or stand in front of a full-length mirror and speak to your reflection, hearing the words come out of your mouth and getting feedback from others will allow you to refine and revise your delivery. Better yet, use your smartphone's audio or video recording apps to record yourself so you can play it back. This will not only allow you to make improvements, but speaking and hearing your presentation multiple times will help you remember what you plan to say. Think of it like a song. The more you hear it, the easier it becomes to sing along. Even with all the preparation and planning you've done, when the big day arrives, there are still a few things to remember. Most sessions will have a moderator who will introduce each of the speakers. In most cases, the moderator will read the bio that you have provided for the meeting program. If you want the moderator to include something other than your bio, just let them know ahead of time. Because the moderator will be doing a fabulous job of introducing you, you don't need to take time from your presentation to introduce yourself again. Use that time to focus on your message. When it's your turn at the podium, we have a few recommendations that will ensure your delivery keeps attendees on the edge of their seats. First, most people tend to deliver their presentation more quickly when they are in front of an audience or working against a clock, so deliver your presentation slowly. Don't look over your shoulder at the screen, or worse, stand and talk to the screen instead of to the audience. The screen doesn't care what you have to say, and the microphone won't pick up your voice if you are not speaking directly into it. Be sure to define acronyms that the audience may not know. Vary the pitch, tone, pace, and volume of your verbal delivery. Dramatic pauses are very powerful. Avoid reading your presentation or reading directly from slides. Practice and cue cards makes perfect. Pay attention to your body language. Use hand gestures, make eye contact, don't trap yourself behind the podium. Likewise, don't dance around or fidget either. Repeat and reinforce key points. Make the takeaways and tweets obvious to the audience. Respect your audience and fellow speakers' time and end on time or early. Always leave enough time for questions and to engage the audience. Audience interaction is very important. Repeat audience questions or ask audience members, please use the mic. Even if a microphone is available, audience members are notorious for asking a question from their chair. Many people and the audio recorder won't be able to hear the question, so unless you use the mic or you repeat it, the answer may not make sense. Resist the urge to hype your products and services. SSP has a non-commercial policy for speakers. Even if you're asked to speak because of your organization's expertise, product, or services, focus on the problem you solved or your customers' challenges. And finally, smile, relax, and have fun. The audience will feel your energy and enthusiasm. Something else we urge you to consider when preparing for your presentation is accessibility challenges that may exist in your audience. Use an accessibility checker when you create your presentation and embed alt text in PowerPoint if it is to be viewed later. A number of the tips we provided so far can help increase the accessibility of your presentation for various audiences. The minimum font size of 30 point, high contrast between the text and background, and captioned audio and video materials. To help you effectively engage with a diverse and dynamic audience, the Digital Library Federation offers a number of practical recommendations for creating accessible presentations. Check out the link on the screen for more information. Please note, AI-generated closed captioning will appear on the screen during your presentation. Please limit the content on the bottom 2 inches or 5 centimeters of your slides so that it is not covered by the captions. You should be prepared to make electronic versions of your presentation available in advance in the meeting app. This is helpful to participants with a visual impairment. Photos, charts, and other graphics should have alt text descriptions. The number one way to keep your audience's attention is to engage them. It's not the audience's job to listen. It's your job to make them want to listen. Nearly every audience member has a mobile device in their hand competing with you for their attention. Earn their attention from the get-go by making your presentation so interesting, so entertaining, or so inspiring that people can't help but pay attention. Make the audience laugh or cringe by using appropriate humor, personal stories, anecdotes, or case studies. A funny remark every 5 or 10 minutes can do a lot to keep the audience interested. If something goes wrong, poke fun at yourself. If possible, make eye contact with audience members one by one. Don't just scan and pan. Let the audience participate in the discussion. Ask them questions. If you involve them, you'll be more interesting than the latest email that drops into their inbox. Better yet, give them something to do with their mobile device. For example, if you want attendees to tweet sound bites and photos from your presentation, be sure to include your Twitter handle in the footer of your slides. That way, they can focus on capturing what you are saying instead of searching Twitter for your handle so they can tag you. In addition, remember that SSP will be live streaming select sessions in real time for virtual attendees. If your session is selected for live streaming, then there are a few additional things that you should keep in mind. There will be a video camera in the room. Be sure to make occasional face contact with the camera, just as you would with an audience member in the room. Most importantly, this is the time to be vigilant about repeating every single audience question so that the remote viewers can hear them as well. And during the Q&A period, be sure to check with the chat coordinator to see if there are any questions coming in from the online participants. If you are planning to move about during your presentation, give the camera operator a heads up so that they can be prepared to follow your movements. No matter how much we prepare, sometimes things just don't go as planned. Be sure you have a contingency plan for some common scenarios. What will you do if the projector doesn't work? What if the prior speaker runs long? How will you deal with a discourteous audience member? What if your plane is delayed? Could you deliver your presentation via Zoom? Think through how you can deal with these situations if they arise, and you'll be better prepared and less stressed if the worst should happen. If the ultimate organizer or program chair's nightmare should manifest itself, you have to cancel, don't leave them in a lurch. Before notifying them of your absence, think through who might be a good replacement. Is there someone else in your organization that could give your presentation? Do you have colleagues in the industry that you know to be knowledgeable about the topic? Offer to help them find a replacement by reaching out to your own network. As soon as you know you might have a potential conflict, let the session organizer know so that they can start thinking of a contingency plan should you not be able to attend. Hopefully you were able to pick up a few tips and tricks for enhancing your presentation for the annual meeting. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to your session organizer or SSP staff. We're looking forward to seeing you at the annual meeting, and good luck with your preparations.